Good evening and welcome to Madawan Aberdeen Middle School. It is an honor to stand before you here tonight as the principal of MARSD. I'd like to begin by thanking Dr. Micah and the Board of Education for allowing me the opportunity to do so. Tonight I have been provided with the opportunity to showcase some of our programs here at MARSD. While I would love to highlight everything that the Madawan Aberdeen Middle School has to offer, the reality is there's simply not enough time. I would, however, like for you to hear from some of our dedicated staff and students regarding our key initiatives for the 2023 school year. Before I get started, how about one more selection? Thank you, Ms. Ryder, and thank you to all our band and chorus students that were here with us tonight. Don't forget to mark your calendars for our winter band concert for Tuesday, December 13th, and our winter choral concert on Tuesday, December 20th. Hope to see you all there. And how about one more round of applause? Well, I'm excited to report that it has been a great start to the 2022-2023 school year here at MARSD. I remember last year at this time, I was speaking about our return to normalcy. Well, tonight, I'm here to tell you that we are back. The 2022-2023 school year has brought several changes here to MARSD, starting with the restructuring of our middle school schedule to provide for grade level teams, as well as an advisory period at the start of each day. This new schedule would not be possible without the collaboration of our staff here at MARSD, and I'd like to thank the members of our advisory committee, as well as the Maria leadership team for working together to make this happen. The teaming approach has provided our staff the opportunity to focus on a cohort of students while collaborating with one another, coordinating lessons, and providing support for students as well as for each other. This has also created another opportunity for us to recognize and celebrate student successes. The addition of our advisory period has provided us with an opportunity to incorporate character education into the school day by creating a safe space for students to strengthen peer connections, build rapport with their teachers, establish and reinforce school-wide norms while teaching the soft skills necessary to succeed in today's society. We have adopted new themes each month aligned to CASEL's 5 core competencies of social-emotional learning, starting with Finding Your Way in September, where students focused on navigating through the school day and the reestablishment of the MAMS way. We moved on to October, and as we continue to celebrate our month of respect, these topics, the topics of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and reasonable decision-making have been embedded into our daily advisory lesson, and I look forward to the continued evolution of this program. I would now like to welcome Ms. Brianna Scatorcia up, our Student Council Advisor, who will discuss the new structure of our MAMS Student Council and introduce to you our MAMS Student Council.
Hi, like Mr. Wells said, my name is Brianna Scatorcia. I am the new advisor for Student Council. So we're doing things a little bit differently this year. This year we're doing a revamp where all of our officer positions are in 8th grade. So I'd like to introduce to you our president, Ms. Jody Gann, in 8th grade. Mr. Amin Lalich, 8th grader, vice president. Sophia Bembico, who is our secretary. And then Peter Brown is our treasurer. He could not be here tonight. We also, we are going to have class representatives for each class. There are 2 representatives per class. So our 7th grade representatives are Ina Bugande and Naya Patel. And then our brand new 6th grade representatives that were just elected in September, we have Riley Liano and finally Ms. Ava Silva. Elections, we actually do our election process in June for the incoming 7th, 8th grade officers, and then in September we have our 6th grade election for our 6th grade representatives. So now I'd like to turn it over to our Student Council President, Ms. Jody Gann, to explain some activities we have planned for this year.
Some upcoming activities and events this year are the Breast Cancer Awareness Pink Outfit this Friday, Thanksgiving food drive to help out families in our community, the Toys for Tots selection during the student faculty basketball game, the Heart Association raffle in February, 90s for patients, and the notes for the graduating class of 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm looking forward to working with you this year. Next up, I'd like to invite Ms. Dana Bamert and Ms. Jennifer Teo down, along with our esports athletes. Many of you know about our esports program that we started 2 years ago in our brand new lab, sponsored by Special Olympics of New Jersey. You're going to talk a little bit about it.
So we have just a few of our esports team members with us today. They're going to talk a little bit about it. We're so excited. We have a couple pictures here. We had the lab booted up. We were hoping some people would pop in, but what you see here was our first Smash tryout. We had our first esport tryout for our first championship Super Smash team. We are currently running in the lab, which means no one is at home gaming. All our competitive gaming is done here in the building, which is a pretty big deal. There are not many schools in New Jersey. While there are many competing, we are super fortunate to have this beautiful lab. Our 2 current championship teams, we have 1 championship Rocket League team, and we actually have 2 championship Super Smash teams. The league reached out to us after a team dropped out if we could handle a second team. We are fortunate enough that we can. This problem here. And now I'd like to introduce one of our longtime Rocket League players, Mr. Leroy, who's going to talk a little bit about our championship Rocket League team.
Hello school, hello teachers, hello everyone. As you can see, I'm a person who has been in Rocket League for about 1 year. And I like to say that really, I met so much people during this experience that it really changed my whole life. I encountered new friends, I met some enemies. But,
He needs in the game. He needs in the game too.
But it's really been a fun experience to come to school and game with my friends. And as you can see, our record for the current season is 2-1. 1 loss, 2 wins. And I say that's doing pretty good. I mean, most of us didn't do it, but at least we did. Most of them. Cloud9 training is a very good experience where basically kids can basically go out and have fun with these games. And what it does is that it basically trains us as Rocket League players to basically get better at the game.
You're being coached by a professional gamer.
Well, yeah, I'm being coached. So, it's going pretty well. I did some training, and I think I've gotten pretty good for the past year. Because honestly, when I started, I really did not think that I was probably going to play for this year. But after seeing last year brought me, I wanted to do it all over again because that's just how much fun I had. So, yeah, this was good. Thank you.
Our second speaker is one of our Super Smash players, Dylan. He's on our silver team. We'll talk about our record a little bit and show you how to do Super Smash.
Super Smash, every Monday at 8, and every Monday at matches. Our record of silver team is 2-0 now, so we're pretty good. That's Mark right there. That's Ian and my friend Sean. So, yeah. And the Maroon team is record is 0-2. Their team members are Maya, Aaron Wilson, Evan, Neilsey, and yeah, they're good. Yeah, I'm going to.
That's good. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Our esports team has actually been invited down to school boards next week, so thank you, Ms. Bauer, and I want to thank the Board of Ed for the kind of program. And finally, this evening, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our MAMS Student Equity Team. As many of you are aware, our team has been very active, working closely with the Monmouth University Central Jersey Consortium for Excellence in Equity. So active, in fact, that they received the Social Justice Warrior Award at the end of last year. Please welcome Ms. Rayola, Ms. Teresa Downey, and the members of our MAMS Equity Team, both past and present, because some of you are at the high school now, as they outline their plans for the 2022-2023 school.
Okay, so first we're going to play our video that won the
this award for us last year.
The Madeline Aberdeen Middle School Student Equity Team presents to you our accomplishments of the year. At the beginning of the year, our goals were to ensure educational equity within our MAMS family and our district, encouraging kindness, respect, and appreciation for all, and providing a student perspective on diversity and inclusion. The students also had some concerns and major plans for the year, along with our goals. One of our goals was to create social media, and we did. Throughout our time together, we referred back to Project Learn and used it to keep ourselves accountable. Throughout the year, we listened to our peers. We listened to the concerns from girls' bathroom users and mental health conversation. We also listened to students who said that they wanted more open discussions on racism. We also put together bulletin boards highlighting different marginalized groups. A couple hours after school, we also held documentary nights and conversations. We also recorded a podcast. Throughout the year, we have also presented at different staff and district events. This year, our team acknowledged that we have our own privileges and that not everyone will meet eye to eye in situations. We also responded to a lot of concerns. Some are putting menstrual products in bathrooms in response to concerns from girls' bathroom users and aiding in a plan for a mental health assembly. We have networked many times this school year. We met with our high school equity team in January and December to share our journey. We also participated in the Principals Roundtable meetings. During Black History Month, we worked with AASU, and we are currently working with Safe Space for our Pride event. Now, let's dive deeper into the bigger projects of the year. To start, we made many bulletin boards. This was one of our first bulletin boards about Indigenous Heritage Month. We talked about missing women, the Indian Civilization Act, residential schools, and stereotypes. This was a Black History Month bulletin board that our team created. We provided the history and showed a few examples of Black excellence. This is our bulletin board recognizing Women's History Month and providing examples of amazing women in our history. During the month of May, we created a bulletin board for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We included different foods and influential people, as well as the history of the month and some important facts. This was our first documentary night where we showed Selma, the bridge to the valley. We continued after with a wonderful discussion. This was our second documentary that took place during Black History Month. During this one, we had a really nice heart-to-heart with the crowd. This was our third and final documentary night. We showed who we are, a chronicle of racism in America. As a team, one of our favorite things we accomplished this year was our podcast. Our first one was on traditions.
Yes, for CJ Speaker, work with project work for the website Learn to Reach Anti-Racism.
Hi, check out. Episode 2 was for Black History Month and Hairline.
I think we all kind of said like the same thing. There's good, bad, being black. Some of us more being proud of yourself.
Here we have the menstrual products bin and the period product dispenser. They are each in the 3 bathrooms available. One day our team took a trip up to our high school where we met with their equity members and planned for our future. With all the helpful information, we made a MAMS student resource guide. Since this meeting was so successful, we met again. To conclude, listen to a segment from Equity's part in the ASU Black History Month Virtual Assembly. Our ancestors look down on us today and smile, realizing that we celebrate their lives, their strength, and their beauty. We can't lose our history, so we keep telling you. We are the future. You just have to be it. Thank you, and don't forget to follow our social media.
Okay, now one of our cast members asked to speak.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Butler. This video, my prized possession, embodies the hard work put in by our MAMS equity team members in this room. The members of the CJCE conference, being 8th graders at the time, utilized our last year middle school computers, and we did a lot of it. We spent days perfecting our work, meeting during our own lunch times, and constantly thinking about what we could do to better our school. We worked with the Central Jersey Consortium of Excellence in Equity, the team's anti-racism, as Mr. Wells mentioned. This and in the process, it was so worth it in the end. In the last CJCE meeting, schools all throughout Central Jersey came together to present their accomplishments of the year. As videos were shown, each student voted for which district had the best video. And out of all 26 of them, our school won. I'm so proud of how far the team has gone, and I can't wait to see how we grow in high school, as well as how watching the legacy we left behind here in Florida. I'd like to thank the team who helped to build this wonderful atmosphere and support. I'd also like to thank my parents and my twin sister, Mrs. Butler, who are sitting in this room right now. They helped me find this video and supported me through everything. Above all, I'd like to thank Ms. Royola, my right-hand woman, who allowed me and every other person on this team to express ourselves and make tremendous change. And thank you to Mr. Wells and every single person in this room for allowing and listening me and my peers the opportunity to speak out and educate others. Have a wonderful night.
Okay, now we're going to introduce our team, and you guys are going to tell us about some of your plans as on board members. I'm also going to give them a certificate for their participation last week in the first workshop. This is for Noah is not here today, but we have one also at Taraji.
Hi, my name is Camilla. I'm Haley.
I'm Tyson.
Summer events this school year is student-led assembly on offensive behavior and how to respond. One of our other plans was new podcast episodes monthly.
Another one of our plans were to interview people on lunch, how they feel about racism in school, and yeah.
And to continue our documentary screening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Teresa Downey. I'm a world language teacher here at MAMS for the 25th year. In June, I was accepted into the Monmouth University Social Justice Academy as part of their first in-person cohort. And during the summer, I attended classes to explore the foundations for impacting change in our community. At the completion of the summer academy, I was awarded a grant from the J.M. and the Groningen Foundation to implement the social justice project Thursday. So the title of my project is The Silence Isn't Quiet, based on the Andrew Day song Rise Up. The goal of my project is to work with and expand on the goals that are already established by our student equity team. One, ensure educational equity language, replace offensive and outdated terminology, and develop norms for using this vocabulary in class around the school with our students. Encourage kindness and respect and appreciation for diverse cultures and communities in our district. John Kellmeyer, an educational author and New Jersey superintendent, wrote an op-ed in the New Jersey Spotlight News on March 7th of this year, and he stated that while New Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the U.S., its schools are also among the most segregated in the nation. That is definitely not true here in Mattawa and Aberdeen. He does go on to say that the contact theory, which is important in the issue of ethnic and racial diversity, posits that more time and interaction spent with those from other backgrounds will result in greater understanding and cooperation between and among disparate groups. I hope to work with our student organizations to curate activities and games during advisory to help students become aware of other ethnicities and marginalizing behavior. And number 3, provide student and alumni perspective on diversity and inclusion. As a culminating activity, I'd like to invite alumni to speak on a panel about diversity, bias, and othering in MAMS. The student groups would be active in creating the questions and discussion points to lead the evening program for the community. The coaching provided by the Social Justice Academy at Monmouth University and the grant from the Groningen Foundation will help me reach these goals. And they'll be included in a spring showcase at Monmouth University. Thank you.
I'm just simply in awe at all the work they've done over the last year. Talk about leaders. That's actually right there. So I want to thank each and every one of them for everything they've done to spread the word, the anti-racist theme for all of our community screenings that really taught me. I learned a lot from them. So this is an example of student. Thank you all. That concludes our man's portion of tonight's evening. Thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to continuing our partnership and serving the matter of everything.
Thank you to the staff and thank you to the students. It's so important hearing directly from you, what's working for you, what excites you about school, and I'm very proud of you to be able to get out here and meet so many people and see and perform. It's fantastic, especially at your ages, so thank you. With that, we're going to move to the two representatives for Take one day Board of Education. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of our students. To start off, our high school year as we blended it into our homecoming spirit week for the Brew Up. Our football team was able to celebrate a strong win for this year's homecoming on the 8th. I'm excited to say that our first homecoming dance was a success and hope that it continues as we officially from here on out. Last Wednesday, our freshmen and sophomores took the PSATs and most of our seniors took the SATs. Now we're waiting scores to be released in a few weeks. This week, we are recognizing violence awareness. Our civic leaders have taken the role of spreading the word and handing out ribbons during our lunch periods. The fall drama is in full swing as auditions took place last week. Our students are set to perform December 8th through the 11th. Our fall sports seasons are coming to an end, and all of our players hope to end them on a high, especially our seniors. Mr. Wells had an in-depth explanation before, but it's been a great start to the school year at MARSD. Students were introduced to a new schedule and are focused on building peer relationships and enhancing their skills needed to be successful in society. Beginning with the theme Find Your Way in September and moving to the theme of Respect for October, students have been engaged in activities geared to build community within our district. The month of November will bring the theme of gratitude to MARSD and will be kickstarting the month off with Thanksgiving Day food drive sponsored by the Student Council. But first, the middle school will turn their focus to Red Ribbon Week, a national campaign for students and communities to unite and take a visible stand against drugs and alcohol. We encourage parents and students to join us in taking the pledge to grow up safe, healthy, and drug-free. A few recent highlights from Lloyd Road were the Fall Road Fair. The Lloyd Road PTO generously provided every student with $10 in class dollars to buy books of choice and every teacher $25. Thank you to the PTO. Last week, Lloyd Road recognized the Week of Respect. This week, Violence Awareness Week, and on October 26th, the Aberdeen Fire Department is visiting with a fire truck to review fire safety with all students. For our elementary schools, Aberdeen Drive, Ms. Siderosa has highlighted a few events from this past month. The students recognize the National Week of Respect through daily themes and classroom activities. This week, they will be doing the same, but recognizing school violence awareness through the Week of Peace. As the season has turned to fall, they have launched their third annual Aberdeen Drive Scarecrow Drawing Contest. With visits from the Matawan Fire Department, firefighters, and fire trucks, the students recognize Fire Prevention Week. The Ravine Drive PTO had its annual fall festival and had the kickoff of the Ravine Drive's October Drive to honor our veterans. The students and faculty have started preparing for the annual Halloween costume parade that will take place in just 2 weeks. Now for Strathmore. Mrs. Barra says that the students at Strathmore are excited about the cooler weather and the fall events that have been happening at school. October is the month of kindness. The students celebrated the Week of Respect with a visit from their school mascot, Gloria Owl. Principal Barra and Moore announced that monthly theme and shared the activities that the students would be completing throughout the month. The Scholastic Book Fair was back again this year, and the students, staff, and parents really shopped till they dropped. Thank you to the Strathmore PTO for this. The students in pre-K through grade 3 were excited about Fire Prevention Week and were visited by firefighters from Aberdeen Engine Company. Thank you for bringing the fire truck and teaching us how to stay safe. Principal Bear, along with others, like Mr. Cronin here, were our guest chefs on Friday, October 14th. The PTO Blue Bash will be held on Friday, October 21st for all pre-K through grade 3 students. Please join us on October 31st at 2:05 while the Strathmore students and staff participate in their annual costume parade. Now for Cliffwood. Cliffwood School Pause Ticket Program has been started, and students are working hard to earn their tickets whenever they are respectful, responsible, safe, and kind.
Students place their own tickets into bins and names are selected for students to win Cliffwood prizes. Our first drawings will take place this Friday during our school lunches. Cliffwood's First Star Student Awards are happening this Wednesday evening. We look forward to recognizing 19 friends who exemplified September's theme of responsibility. Congratulations to all First Star student recipients. Cliffwood's PTO Trunk or Treat is also happening this Friday, October 21st at 4:30 p.m. Visit the Cliffwood parking lot and see our students, their families, and their vehicles all decorated and having fun at the community event. Unfortunately, I did not receive a full report from Cambridge Park for this month, but I am looking forward to what they have for next time. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Goto. We are going to move into an executive session. Be it resolved that a closed session be convened for the purpose of discussing privacy, personnel, and attorney-client matters. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee if the length of the executive session is estimated to be 40 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. Action will take place. Can I get a motion and a second to enter executive session?
So moved.
All second. All in favor? Aye. Can I get a motion and a second to return to public session? Motion and a second. Second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, we are going to jump to the second part of superintendent's report. Mr. Lehman?
Purpose of this is self-assessment for it. So every district is required to complete a self-assessment on the practices and procedures. Each of our 7 buildings completes a draft of the assessment, tabulate the data, and report the draft scores to the Department of Education. The results are published and made public in late spring, early summer. This is a self-assessment for the 21-22 school year, so we're a little behind. The purpose of the report tonight is to share with the board that the required steps in the self-assessment are complete at the building level and the district level, and ready to submit our draft scores to the Department of Ed. We will share a follow-up with the board once final scores are released later in the year. And at that point, we'll go into details on category scores, the final overall assessment grades, and any recommendations if necessary. I can tell you that the early feedback has been positive in terms of our scores. One of the areas that we're going to address is a refresher training for the anti-bullying coordinator, which is me, and for our anti-bullying specialists. So I've already attended a refresher training with Strauss Esme on policy updates. Mr. Rubin spoke today actually with our new teachers, our new staff on ed laws. And Mr. Rubin will be back in November to do a training for our anti-bullying specialists on updated policy. So that will be reflected for our scores. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting, September 12, 2022, executive session meeting minutes, September 12, 2022, regular action meeting minutes, September 19, 2022, and the executive session meeting minutes, September 19, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Aikman?
Yes.
Ms. Stiles?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Ronco?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the correspondence to the board?
So moved.
Second. That brings us to the board president's report. Just a few updates and reminders from the last meeting. I think Ms. Coco may have mentioned it's Violence Awareness Week this week, and the schools have various activities that are happening that are age appropriate, all about keeping the schools safe. The district held their school security committee meeting, their first meeting last week, and I just want to thank you to the community members who came and participated, as well as the staff and the Matawan and Aberdeen police departments. It's great to see so many people wanting to work together to keep our schools safe and secure, and this will probably, the committee will go about 6 months, right?
Yes.
And then we'll report back out to the community. Tonight you'll see on the agenda a revised HIP policy. It's up for a first read tonight.
I encourage parents, guardians, community members, take a look at the policy once it's uploaded. It'll be prior to the next meeting, probably a few days before, which is November 14th. And there are revisions to the policy that come out of the updated anti-bullying statute and Mallory's law. The policy does continue to get stronger, which I think is great. Modifications have been made, and I think it's going to help push us forward to protect our kids even more from the effects of bullying. Our district is participating in the NJDOE Governor's Educator of the Year program. We invite parents, students, community members, staff to recognize and nominate the staff for Teacher of the Year and the Educational Services Professional of the Year. The last reminder is that the Borough of Matawan will be distributing free meals at the Town Hall on Friday nights again through December. And just want to wish all students, staff, parents a fun and safe Halloween. Enjoy all the parades and activities happening at all the schools. With that, we'll move to the agenda, which is curriculum and instruction. Ms. Perez?
Thank you. Under curriculum instruction, we're asking for board approval for items listed in A and B on page 1 and 2. Additionally, there was a walking item. Under B, we're asking for board approval for the opportunity for the MAMS esports to travel to the New Jersey School Board Convention on October 26th. Please note there's an error in the rationale, so I'd like to share the rationale tonight. MAMS esports has been asked to participate in an in-person tournament event with Garden State esports at the showcase event at New Jersey School Boards in Atlantic City. Our Rocket League was invited because we are one of the most established teams and programs in the state of New Jersey. And additionally, we have item number 3 for board approval. We're asking for approval for a field trip for grade 3 students and staff at Strathmore Elementary to attend the Gateway National Recreation Area at Fort Hancock, New Jersey, here down by the beach on Thursday, October 27th. That concludes curriculum instruction.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the agenda?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Okay, student services, Ms. Perez?
Under student services, we're asking for board approval for items listed in 1, 2, 3, and on page 2, item number 4. That concludes student services.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the agenda? Any questions from the board? Personnel, Mr. Liebman?
Thank you. We're going to begin with 2 walk-in items for action this evening. The board has both. Action item number 1, we're asking the board to approve the appointments for the 22-23 school year as listed. And then walk-in item 1A, the appointment of the staff member that's listed. This person was previously approved by the board. We're just amending the start date. The person's available to start sooner. So that's item 1A. And then to the regular action agenda, we're asking the board to approve items A, B, C 1 through 9, D 1, 2, and 3. That concludes personnel.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the agenda? I'll second. Any questions from the board? Okay, policy, Mr. Lehman?
So we're asking the board to approve under section A, policy and regulations, second read of the policy that is listed. And we're also asking the board to approve for a first reading under section B. This is policy 5512 on harassment and bullying. That's for our first reading. That concludes the policy.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any questions from the board?
Just one comment, thank you for deliberating my changes.
Finance, Ms. Case?
We look to take action this evening on finance on 1 through 22, with taking note as the fact that we are approving on 18, awarding the bid for the renovations to Cambridge Park, along with 6 alternate bids we did come in under. We are looking forward to getting this project started.
Can I get
get a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any questions from the board? Okay, we're going to move to public comments on both agenda items and additional matters. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on matters of interest to the school community. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name, municipality, and residence. Comments are limited to 3 minutes duration, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the board president. No participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor. Public comments?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Buckle. I live in the borough of Manawan. My husband, Brad Buckle, also resides in Manawan, New Jersey. We're here tonight just because we had 3 questions. Back in June 24th, my son was involved in an assault incident at the middle school. It was a very horrible incident. We went through a whole process through the summer, working with Dr. Micah, who's been wonderful at getting back to us, getting the things necessary to us. But we had 2 major concerns that we wanted to come here tonight to see if we could get some answers for. The first was the report that we had received, so it was an incident report. It was a very vague report. All it really reported in it was that the teacher gave her story where she didn't actually see the incident start, but when she turned around, she witnessed the other boy punching my son in the face multiple times. She yelled at him to stop. She stopped the incident, removed my son, got him to the nurse, removed the other boy. And that's pretty much the entire report. We spent the summer hearing from Mr. Wells that there was a whole investigation done. My son was questioned, the other boy was questioned, and we were just curious to know why, or if there is another report that we haven't seen, why any of that wasn't put in the original report. Because our biggest issue is that we would like to see what went along to the police, along to the prosecutor, because we don't think that the prosecutor in Freehold had all the information that should have been in that report. And now at this point, we're faced with the case is not being prosecuted because it looks as though it was just a little incident between 2 boys in class, when that's completely not what it was. I mean, my son was punched in the face 8 to 9 times, and nothing was explained, as well as my son, the boy was bothering my son and his friends. My son did send him a text message. He didn't threaten him, but he didn't say nice things in the text message. 2 weeks prior to the boy doing this to my son. So this boy waited 2 weeks to then get my son in class, get my son when he wasn't even aware. He was taking his backpack off, his hands were down, put a cast on, and he pummeled my son's face. I mean, it was awful. And I did send an email, because if any of you see my son's face, the whole entire summer, that's how he spent his summer with his head swollen. It was horrible. It was a premeditated attack, and I wanted that in the report, because I feel like that's necessary for the prosecutor to make a decision as far as, I'm not looking to have the other boy sent to jail, but I'm thinking maybe this is a red flag, especially for the school, that if a boy has an issue and he sits on it for 2 weeks, and he thinks about what he's going to do, and then does a sneak attack like that, and I know it's his first offense, but next time if he doesn't like the words that someone says, it's going to be worse. So that's my biggest fear. My second thing was, in the handbook, it says he was an assault, which I was told it was. My son never hit back. My son couldn't even block his own face. He didn't know what happened. It's an out-of-school 4-day suspension, minimum. Now, I know that I've been told numerous times, and that's why I was hoping maybe the attorney could give some advice, that I can't be told what his consequence was, but I do know that this happened Wednesday. There was only 2 days left to school, and the boy was in school, first day of school, second day of school. So I'm wondering, how was the handbook followed, and how do I find out if the handbook was followed in this case? So those are really our biggest concerns.
So,
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Buckle. The the first questions you just asked, this is the first time I'm hearing of this, so I'm going to need a day or two as to any follow-up investigation. So I would ask if you could give me like a day or two at the most, so I can get back to you. And then for this second question, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Wood.
Yes. So whatever happened to your son, I'm sorry to hear about it. The board is not at liberty to be discussing here in public a student situation like this. There are rights of other students that are at stake. So we could discuss this in public if we wanted to. In terms of sharing whatever disciplinary consequences may be imposed on another student, we're simply not allowed to share that with parents. I think that as parents, we are entitled to some reasonable assurances that your child is as safe as we can make them be. And if you have questions about those measures, you can certainly speak to the superintendent about it. But what particular consequences were imposed on another student, we just are against their time, just not at liberty to share that with you.
I think if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking, you just wanted not necessarily what was imposed, but was it carried out? What's written, right, according to the answer. So it's a, litigant.
But I think the handbook also explicitly by implication allows for some flexibility depending on the unique circumstances there. And if your question is, were there any unique circumstances that might have called for some leniency or some extra measure of discipline for a student beyond what's in the handbook, that's not something the administration can really discuss with you because it involves the rights of another student.
If it's in the handbook telling us what the punishment is, shouldn't we be at least told it was enforced? Why would you tell me what the punishment should be? Being I'm not allowed to know if yet it was established. It serves no purpose than to have it in the handbook.
It just seems hard for me also to, my son was assaulted and received, while this kid was minimum 4 days out of school suspension. My son was there on the first day. My son walked past me, even though I was told that they wouldn't be near him. And he still had to walk past the first 2 days of school, which I wasn't happy about, but I guess it is what it is. They can't, go in the building for my son. But the purpose is that now I'm not supposed to see, so I guess the lenient given towards the boy, and I don't know why that is.
I'm not familiar with the instance, so I wouldn't assume that there was leniency. There could be other circumstances involved. I don't know what that other particular student situation is in terms of any extenuating circumstances on that, but I'm just not familiar with it. My point to you is that there are situations where the presumptive penalty in the handbook either more or less is applied depending on the circumstances that the administration may be aware of, that they may not be liberty to share with you. But again, I couldn't, even if we were speaking in private, I couldn't go into more detail with it because I'm just not familiar with the incident myself, but certainly free to speak to the superintendent about it.
And when I speak with you tomorrow or the next day, I can speak generally as to things, which I think you'll have a much better understanding when we're done with that conversation.
We hope we get told the way it's set up, the way the board is managed, there's no flow to follow for the victim. And it's really like that. It's very disturbing. Because the message that's being sent out to my son now is you get a free pass the first time. So, with that being said, all him and his friends are thinking, Jake, you get to beat somebody up because you didn't have any problems. You don't have any issues. There's nothing to do anything about it. And if they do, nobody will know about it. So we'll never know if the punishment was ever established or not. So we can be told here, we will never know.
And the other big part of that is the idea of the prosecution. Because I probably even told myself, I think that it's a hard thing because he thinks, well, Mom, you said this kid could get in trouble for what he did to me. Now I tell him, well, actually, no, he's not. He's not going to get in trouble at all.
That's not true.
It's what happened. And that's my question in the report that was sent to the prosecutor. It was such a big report. It didn't express anything. Even the other boys' side of the story corroborates what I'm trying to say. The other boy's not lying. He said exactly what happened. And I feel like none of that was said, none of that was looked at, and it's all just is what it is. So my son gets his
There was a police report filed, so I'm going to have to get in touch with the SRO as well. Because we don't write the police report.
So I believe that's the report that I have that's for me.
So we had a meeting with the parents sometime with the principal, and the school officer. What came out of it was the other parents were upset as well, because he said that the report we got wasn't the same as he got. And nobody knows, because how does he know what report we received, first of all? So he knows something we don't know, I know it's true. And when it comes to the report itself, it's so vague. It was just, the teacher said she was standing in the doorway. That's basically it. Nobody interviewed my son. I don't see his report. I don't see the aggressor's report. I don't see the kids that were sitting in the classroom. They didn't even get to say where the teacher was. I would like to know what the students said where the teacher was. Not just that we're going to believe what's on the report if it's only one person making the report. It should have been multiple reports, not just a teacher's, oh, well, I was standing in the doorway. Of course she's going to be there. Where do you think she's going to say she was down the hallway? My son got hit 8 times in the face, and it could have been a weapon. And it could have been fatal. And nothing is being done about it, and it's very upsetting. We demand that something be done. And if we're not privy to knowing what the rules or the consequences are going to be, we need closure and satisfaction. We can't just sit here and allow this to be the way of life in this school. We don't feel that our son people thank you, Thomas. And we
hope that you all understand, that the majority of you here have children. For us, this is an event that I can't ever turn back from, and it's changed my life, it changed my son's life. It's such a traumatic thing, and you don't realize it until you go through it, but I'm never going to be the same again. I can't believe I moved to this community because I wanted it to be a good community for my kids, and now this is what I'm dealing with. And because my son didn't have facial bones that were broken, it's like, let's move on, but his head was, I couldn't even tell you for seen him all summer. I couldn't sit in the hospital with him. I couldn't explain it. I just want you guys to understand where we're coming from, not that we're trying to make a thing out of it, but we're trying to understand how does this happen, and then everybody just acts like, oh, that's what we do, oh, everybody's counted in, that's an everyday thing, let's move on, you know? And football being like,
if I was the prosecutor, to be honest, if I was the prosecutor, I would say, oh, they had an argument, the kid got punched, there's no reason to pursue. And obviously, because of the report, that's exactly how they took it. But if it was a detailed report saying that was a premeditated attack, 2 weeks after the fact of the incident, that my son just walked into a classroom, and as he's taking his backpack off with a cast on, this kid attacked him from behind and literally got the best of him for 8 good shots. And you have to understand, if it was just an argument and he got hit, and maybe he didn't get a chance to hit back, I would accept that. I thought that was the case until I drove away. And my son said, Dad, I didn't have a chance to fight back. And it happened 2 weeks ago. I wanted to turn my truck around, come back here and scream bloody murder. But, you know, how do we sleep at night? I'm up at 6:30 in the morning wondering, how do we handle this? And what's going to happen? I can't. I'm pacing the floor over this, saying, this isn't fair. If you had children in this school, and I know some of you do, you'd feel the same way. And so, please, look into it and help us out and try to come up with some better answers. That we can't tell you anything.
I think the superintendent's indicated that there may be some information he can share with you in private that we're not going to
That would be helpful. We don't need names.
He's invited you to contact him, schedule an appointment.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be satisfied, but there's more information he can share with you that we're not at liberty to discuss, or even if we knew it, which we don't.
My wife spent hours at the doctors constantly and laying out co-pays and everything else. It's like, wow, we became victims ourselves. You know, and then they say, well, we can't believe what's going on. And nothing is done about it. According to the way we did the march rules, the kids never been even talked to. They were supposed to have to sit down and then explain to them before school started. That never happened. My son was just said, oh, everything okay? Yeah. And that was it. That was
First,
it.
I want to say, I'm sorry that your son was hurt, and I hope he's doing much better now. What I'm hearing from Dr. Micah and Mr. Rubin is that Dr. Micah will follow up. He'll, you can look into the police report, the process. He can also talk to you about the process in terms of how it's handled internally and from the board standpoint, right? Essentially. And then also, as much as he's able to, talk about how it's handled.
Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you. Any others, members of the public that would like to speak? Okay, then we're going going to take action on agenda items. We have curriculum and instruction, student services, personnel, policy, and finance.
Mr. Akron?
Yes.
Ms. Silas?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Yes. Mr. Valentin?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes, but abstain from curriculum and instruction, B, the teen arts. Okay, any old business? New business? We are going to have an additional executive session. So let me just read this. Be it resolved that a closed session be convened for the purpose of discussing privacy, personnel, and attorney-client matters. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is 5 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. Action will not take place. Can I get a motion and a second to enter executive session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?